Taiwan's role in maritime history did not begin with the Europeans. People from China, Japan, the Ryukyu Islands, and Southeast Asia had already sailed nearby. Some came to fish, trade, or rest during long voyages. Taiwan gradually became an important stop in regional sea routes. Its location attracted more attention as maritime trade expanded. The age of exploration began in Europe near the end of the 15th century. European sailors searched for new sea routes to East Asia. They wanted spices, silk, porcelain, and other valuable goods. Direct trade could reduce the cost paid to middlemen. Religion was also an important reason for overseas expansion. Taiwan lies off the southeastern coast of China. It is close to China, Japan, the Philippines, and the South China Sea. Ships traveling between these regions could stop near Taiwan. They could rest, transfer goods, or obtain fresh supplies. Taiwan was like a transfer station in the Western Pacific. Chinese people were active around the Penghu Islands by the 12th and 13th centuries. Some came to fish or conduct small-scale trade. Penghu had limited farmland, so many residents depended on the sea. Its location also connected Southeast Asia, Penghu, and Taiwan. Penghu therefore became familiar to sailors earlier than Taiwan did. In the late 13th century, the Yuan dynasty established an office in Penghu. It managed settlers and helped maintain local order. However, its official authority did not extend to Taiwan. Fishermen and merchants often stayed in Taiwan only for a season. This mobile population later prepared the way for larger trading groups. During the Ming Dynasty, private overseas travel was restricted by the maritime ban. People were not allowed to trade or fish freely at sea. But coastal communities still needed to make a living. Many people therefore traded secretly outside official channels. The tighter the restrictions became, the more active smuggling could become. The word woko was an official term for pirates along the coast. Early groups were often connected with Japanese pirates. By the 16th century, however, many members were actually Chinese. Some sea merchants traded peacefully, but also carried weapons. When opportunities appeared, they might turn from trade to robbery. By the late 16th century, sea merchants increasingly moved their bases toward Taiwan. The Ming government strengthened its defenses around Penghu. This made it harder for armed merchants to remain there. Taiwan had weaker official control and offered new ports and markets. Its frontier position became an advantage for maritime groups. Yan Sichi led a group of followers to develop a base in Taiwan. Zhang Zhilong later expanded this maritime network. They recruited Chinese settlers to farm and build communities. Their main activities were in Yunlin, Chiayi, and Tainan. Trade and settlement developed together in southern Taiwan. Japan also tried to reach Taiwan before European rule began. During the periods of Toyotomi Hideyoshi and Tokugawa Ieyasu, envoys were sent across the sea. They hoped to make indigenous communities submit and pay tribute. These attempts did not succeed. After Japan adopted its closed country policy, its activity in Taiwan declined. Portugal was the earliest European maritime power to reach East Asia. Portuguese sailors called Taiwan Formosa, meaning a beautiful island. They built their main regional base at Macau. Spain later used Manila in the Philippines as its base. Silver and American crops entered East Asia through these new sea routes. The Dutch East India Company was founded in 1602. Its Asian headquarters was located in Batavia, now Jakarta. The company received the right to control overseas trade. It could also form armies, make treaties, and appoint officials. In practice, the VOC operated almost like a state. The Dutch first tried to occupy Macau, but Portugal stopped them. They then moved to Penghu and looked for a new trading base. The Ming government sent Shen Yu Rong to demand their withdrawal. The Dutch eventually left Penghu. They turned their attention towards southern Taiwan instead. After 1624, the Dutch occupied the Taiyuan area in southern Taiwan. Fort Zeelandia became the center of Dutch rule. The Dutch recruited Chinese settlers to farm the land. Rice, sugar, and deerskins became important products. Taiwan was gradually drawn into international trade through an organized system. Spain entered northern Taiwan in 1626. It built a fort at Keelung and another near Tamsui. The Spanish hoped to expand trade and spread Christianity. However, Japan's closed country policy and unrest in the Philippines weakened their business. In 1642, Dutch forces drove the Spanish from Taiwan. In the 17th century, several groups competed for influence in Taiwan. Chinese sea merchants had already built bases in the south. Japan sent envoys and traders to explore possible connections. The Dutch controlled southern trade, while Spain briefly occupied the north. Taiwan became a meeting place for many maritime powers. International trade brought major changes to Taiwan. Taiwan became a transfer point for goods moving across East Asia. Sugar, deerskins, textiles, and porcelain were traded through its ports. More Chinese settlers moved to Taiwan and developed farmland. Trade also increased cooperation and conflict among different ethnic groups. Taiwan became a center of competition because several conditions came together. Its location offered advantages for shipping, transfer, and resupply. The maritime ban encouraged smuggling and armed merchant groups. Strong defenses in Penghu pushed many merchants toward Taiwan. European powers then connected Taiwan more closely with global trade. European involvement in Taiwan began with both trade and missionary activity. Portugal and Spain arrived first, followed by the Dutch and later the English. They wanted spices, silk, porcelain, and access to Asian markets. Missionaries also tried to spread Christianity among local communities. Taiwan's connections with East Asia and the wider world became much clearer.